It's not rocket science. It's a skill. It's rinse and repeat. The market only goes two directions, up or down.
Everybody, Dave Gutman, CEO of TopTier. I've got a really, really cool interview today. Shaun Banks, who I'm going to introduce in a second. Just want to thank everybody for their time. Go ahead and follow us, and let's get into it. Shaun,
awesome. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, thank you, Dave, for inviting me here.
Oh no, I'm super excited. So we met at the Formula One event when you came in as one of our affiliates, one of our new affiliates,
Yep.
right?
TopTier affiliate.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about it, but I wanted to make sure we talked about it on camera. Is really wanted to talk about your journey because I thought your journey was so interesting and so inspiring, and there were enough similarities between because you're ex-military, ex-law enforcement, ex-Uber driver,
Yeah.
right? Maybe walk me through that journey a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So it all started, I guess, out of high school. Single mom. So I grew up with a single mom and understood that it took a lot of hard work. So after high school, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. And I ended up just realizing that I had to do something, a skill. And I joined the Marine Corps. That was the choice I made at the time. And the reason was because I didn't know what choice to make. So I ended up joining the Marine Corps and realizing that I had really good discipline. Well, that's what the Marine Corps taught me, I guess. And from there, after the Marine Corps, I got out and I started doing Uber. I had a GI Bill and VA benefits, but I didn't know exactly what to do and what I wanted to do. So I did Uber. And I loved Uber because I met so many cool people and fascinating people on the journey. In fact, I met one of my riders, which was a Forex trader at the time. And that's how I found out about Forex.
Wow. So you're driving someone around, and that person, now did they end up becoming like a coach or mentor to you? Or?
Correct, yeah. So I actually reached out to him in the car, and I was like, so what do you do? I was driving him to a nice dealership, BMW. He was going to pick up a new car. And he was like, well, I Forex trade. And I was like, well, I'll be honest. I have time. I have no kids. Can you teach me? And he was like, well, it's, a little pricey, and there was a tuition to pay for it. And I ended up paying for it and realizing that I wanted to do something more, realizing that there was more out there. And I'm driving a 19-year-old kid to go pick up a brand new car. And I was at the time, I believe I was like 31, 32 years old. And I realized, I was like, man, I've done so much in my life except bet on myself. I was always able to do something for others and work really hard. And I wanted to do something for me and learn a skill. So he became my mentor. And it was absolutely amazing to learn the trade and the skill. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. So I actually had to reach out and learn more.
So talk about that journey. So it is interesting, almost everyone I've talked to that's been a successful trader that's talked to me about their journey, it's been surprising because, you're seeing the finished product, right? So you see someone like a Q Banks or you now, and you see the finished product, but you don't see what it took them to get there, right?
Correct.
All the speed bumps that you hit. Maybe talk a little bit about that, kind of like, some of the highs, some of the lows, and when you kind of realized, actually, I really can make a career and life out of this.
Yeah, so after or during Uber, every time in between a ride, I was kind of reading books on it. I was practicing on a demo account, playing with it, and understanding the platform. Then once I opened up my first live account, that's kind of when I kind of knew, I was like, okay, this is possible to make money, but I still have to work, unfortunately, because it's not a lump sum of money that I can make instantly. The low points, a lot of low points is being by yourself, not having a team around you, not having the support, not having the guidance. That's why I reached out to a mentor. A low point is taking a lot of losses and realizing is this for me? And understanding that, yes, it is. You just have to have patience. You have to have focus and discipline, but yes, you can do it. So I knew I can do it. I knew I was smart. I knew there was nothing stopping me but me. So I just never gave up. Yeah, that was one of my biggest things. And so once I started making a little bit of live money, for me, I went through what's called a phase of, I call it off-world. Once I made like $3, $4 in my live account, saw some blue numbers, I was like, okay, this is real. I need to go what's called off-world, where I just lock myself in a room. I don't go out. I delete social media, and I learn the skill. Because if I can make $3, I can make 30. If I can make 30, I can make 300. If I can make 300, I can make 3,000. And that's when I knew it was real.
What about the motivation? You talked about, being raised by a single mom and wanting to be able to, help retire her, make sure she's taken care of. Talk about motivation and how important that is to know what you're struggling for in the process.
Yeah, the why, right? Why are you doing this? Why would you put yourself through this of all these lonely hours, these nights of losing? And the thing is, it's the end goal. What are you really doing this? You live one life, and I've always heard, like, when you die, you're gonna die for a very long time. You're not gonna be here. And before you were alive, or you weren't alive for a very long time. So you're here for a split second, and I want to go all in. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to just go half in. And my mom took care of me, and I understand that when I get older, I have to take care of her. So my biggest why is my mom. I want to do everything for her. I'm making sure that I'm set up for her in the long run.
That's really nice. I want to talk a little bit about, because when you and I met at the Formula One event, as soon as you and I started to talk and I understood kind of your process and what you do with your students, I was like, because TopTier Academy is something near and dear to my heart. It's been something that we're making, TopTier as an organization is making a big investment in. And as soon as I talked to you, I'm like, man, we got to get Shaun involved in this. Maybe talk a little bit about, because you were saying too that you paid for a fair amount of education throughout the years. Obviously what we're trying to do at TopTier Academy, as is we know this isn't going to be the be all end all. For the best traders and most successful traders, it's a lifelong journey. You're always trying to educate yourself more. With all that being said, when I remember when I joined TopTier and I wanted to find more about the space, like, go to babypips.com, right? And literally, trading 101. We wanted to do something a little bit more, right? It's like, for that person who's trying to get in but doesn't have the capital necessarily to buy a challenge account, let alone pay for a mentor. Help me understand, like, when I was sort of talking to you about TopTier Academy, did the light bulb go off? Why did the light bulb go off? And kind of, how do you see it?
Well, I thought it was an amazing opportunity for everybody to get into this skill set. I think during these times, TopTier Trader, becoming a TopTier Trader is one of the things that everybody should do. The reason why it's recession proof, you can make money from anywhere in the world. And if you're creating TopTier Academy where it's, way more affordable or free, I believe it was.
It's free. It's going to be 100% free.
Wow. Yeah. So that's a no-brainer in my eyes. The skill, it's just life-changing. It's really, really life-changing. I would never do anything else again, and the light bulb came off when I saw your heart caring about the traders more about the money, because you want to see them pass. You want to see them win. And that's what I want to do. And TopTier just did it so much better.
It's really interesting to me because I think people misunderstand the prop trading business model. People are asking me, why on earth would you want to train people to be better traders for free, let alone you're not even charging them? And not only that, I can't remember if I mentioned this to you or not, but what we're going to do is everyone who graduates will get a free challenge account. And again, I always think anytime someone says they're altruistic and they're just doing it to be a nice guy, my warning flags always go up. Don't get me wrong, it's nicer to travel through life being a decent person and being helpful to people, of course. With all that being said, we are a business and we're trying to align the incentives for what are we trying to do. And you made this point yourself about trading being a lonely business. We think about TopTier as an ecosystem. We're not just a service that someone buys. At least we don't want to be. We want to be much more than that. We have a super active Discord community because trading is lonely. We want people to know, hey, look, we got your back. We want to help you be a better trader. The way I look at it, the more successful traders we have, they're basically our billboards. It's kind of like a personal trainer, right? If you're a personal trainer, do you want to really take on a client who's not going to improve because they're going to be your billboard? Well, the funded traders, the people that are getting payouts, they're our advertisement.
Correct.
And the more of them we have, the more advertisements we have. And the business model takes care of itself, meaning like you're always going to have most people not succeed because most people aren't disciplined.
Correct, yeah.
And so and I think I use the car insurance example. People are like, oh, you're making money on the backs of failed traders. I'm like, just like the person who gets in the car accident, they get their repairs paid for from the premiums from the people who didn't get in an accident, right?
Yeah. And off that point, though, a failed trader isn't a failed trader. It's just someone who hasn't got there yet. So if they keep going through the material and they keep hopping on the Discord for Top Tier, eventually they will get there. And some people get there a lot sooner than others. I've had traders in 30 days make a really good amount of money, and I've had traders take almost a year to get to where they want to be at. But regardless, they get there. And I tell people, if you're going to go to school for 4 years to get a job, why don't you just do this for one? Just put everything you have into this for 1 year. And at the end of one, if it didn't work out, then do anything you want. So it's just a no-brainer for me to learn.
Yeah, we actually have an idea that came up lately that I'm starting just to play around with. I'm curious to get your opinion. Because originally, we had talked about calling a top-tier university, and we decided not to, because we're not trying to convince that engineer that wants to learn how to build bridges. You need to get an engineering degree to do that. Yeah. You don't want the bridges to collapse. So we're not trying to persuade that person, hey, maybe don't be an engineer if that's where your heart is and become a trader. But you're the perfect example. Maybe someone like you wouldn't have gone into the military. Now, fortunately, you came out in one piece.
Thank you.
But I know you had some other comrades who didn't. And so that worked out well for you. But how nice would it have been to have had an alternative path that you could have seen the light at the end of the tunnel that maybe wouldn't put your life in risk?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, if I knew about mentors, again, I came from a lower income family. So it was kind of, I didn't have the opportunities. I wanted to play football in high school. I didn't get that chance because it cost money. So, my mom, we got evicted a lot and we had to move around a lot. So I knew money was really hard, so my mom worked at a liquor store my whole life in the freezer department.
Wow.
So, now she has arthritis, and now she lives in Hawaii. I retired her there. So now she's in Hawaii. So she's living her best life. But as she gets older, I have to think about that as well. I have to think long term. I can't just think of today. Yeah.
Well, so where I was going with the top tier university, we decided to make it TopTier Academy. We originally were thinking about, because we are going to do, I think, a fairly aggressive outreach program to high schools, and we're working through some stuff on the public relations side to help us do that. But originally I was thinking, maybe we don't, should we offer something at the college level? And initially I was thinking no, but then someone gave me an idea that I thought was really smart. What if we offered a college level course where the payouts went to pay your college tuition?
Oh, that's genius. I like that because there's the incentive of paying that hefty tuition off with a skill that they're already in school. They're already somewhat disciplined. They're doing homework. So that wouldn't be an extra, it wouldn't be too hard to
not only that,
piggyback off.
You'd have a line out the door like, wait, I could take this course, learn a skill that can make me a lot of money after I graduate, and maybe I don't graduate with any student debt.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, right?
Who wouldn't do that? You'll have a line out the door as opposed to taking some, ivory tower course that doesn't teach you anything really practical.
Yeah, and high school students, when they get out, they don't know what they really want. I talk to a lot of them. A lot of them just want to make extra cash, but there's no why behind it. My biggest successful traders are veterans, people who are getting out of the military within 6 months. They actually have the discipline, the drive, and they want to do something different. So that's a really big indicator for me as veterans because they're so disciplined. You tell them what to do, they do it. And it's just no fighting back.
It's funny. There seems to be a shocking amount of overlap between people that were ex-military, also ex-law enforcement, also either food delivery service or rideshare service. It's funny, we were in Colombia, where we have a bunch of the folks on our team are down in Cali, Colombia, and we signed up our Uber driver to be an affiliate on the way to the airport.
Nice, yeah.
And again, because it's like, hey, I've got time, and it was interesting. He knew quite a few traders in Cali. He knew the Telegram groups and the Signal groups and all that. I was like, wow, I was really surprised.
Yeah, a lot of people know about it. They just don't know how to get started, and they're afraid to reach out. I think that's the fear that slows them down. I actually witnessed a car accident a couple of weeks ago in front of my house, and now he's a student of mine. He wanted a report for an accident report for me to be a witness, and then he was like, man, what do you do? I was like, I trade. I'm TopTier Trader. He's like, well, how do I do that?
Right.
I'm like, well, you got to learn. So with TopTier Academy, I see that going great for so many people that just don't even know where to start, to give them what I call hope, to give them something because they don't know what to do. So I think that's an amazing program that you offer for free, especially if they get a funded account at the end.
So your honest assessment, you've trained, ballpark, how many people do you think you've trained over the last few years?
Over 1,500.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
2020 was a great year for me during COVID. Everybody, had to learn from virtual. So I was booked that year.
I could see that. What percentage of people, I mean, assuming someone's got even like average intelligence, what percentage of those people, if they really put in the effort, do you think in a 6 to 12 month period of time could become a successful, profitable trader?
Honestly, with an average mind, like an average healthy mind with strong discipline, 6 months to a year, honestly, everybody should be funded and everybody should be profitable. It's not rocket science. It's a skill. It's rinse and repeat. The market only goes two directions, up or down.
Right.
And there's indicators to tell you which way it's going to go. Then you have to use your mindset, what you've learned for the last 3, 4, 6, 12 months to make a decision. The biggest thing is understanding there's going to be losses in the game. So risk management is going to be the most important piece. Understanding that you don't have to win all your trades and still be profitable is kind of the key. That's what I realized was my biggest secret for my students is they were having 5 losses and 5 wins in a week, and they thought they were doing bad because that's 50%. And that's the stereotype of schools. Oh, you're at 50%, you did bad. Well, with trading, every trade we take, we lose 0.5%. So you're losing negative 2.5% on an account with negative 5 trades. The other 5 trades you won, you're winning 1%. So you're still net profit of 2.5%. So on a 100K account, that's $2,500 for the week. $2,500 is a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, so that's interesting. So it sounds like it's funny, I was having this debate with a coworker about TopTier Academy, and I was saying to myself, I have a 24-year-old daughter, and she actually wants to take the course, and I don't know that she'll be a good trader just because of her disposition. So she certainly has the ability to do it, but I felt like just the skills you learned from learning to trade are themselves useful. Like just the things you're adding to your talent stack, meaning understanding risk and reward. I mean, basic things like that, like reframing. 50% isn't, is like you said, is failing and failing by a lot in, the normal academia.
Yep.
But in the trading world, you're rich.
You're rich. That's what I'm saying. So you tell me 6 to 12 months, how many people could be successful? Everybody. Because everybody could be 50%. Everybody can, it's a very strong educated guess.
Yeah, it's so funny that because the number I've used is I generally feel like if you just take the population, that at least 80% of people, that they really do put in the time and discipline. They really do try to learn and educate themselves. They're not just, taking one little, watching a few videos and all of a sudden think they know how to trade, but really, really, really focusing on the journey. That almost everyone could be successful, and it's just nice to I'm glad I'm not crazy. As someone who's trained over 1,500 people, is like no, like you put in the effort, you can see the results. That's inspiring.
Yeah,
because the business we're in, I get all that. I get that pushback all the time. Oh, so many people fail. It's like yeah, but that's because so many people quit.
Or how many of those people didn't even learn?
Right.
How many of those people just hopped on an account without zero experience because their friends said to get one? Right. And that's the difference between winner and loser. Once you lose and you haven't learned, you're not going to try it again because you lost. And you feel like you got cheated. You feel like what happened? You don't know what happened. The thing is, the brokers, unfortunately, they're there to help you, or they're there to, it doesn't matter, right? They don't care. What we realized is if they don't care, why do we care about them, right? We just want to make sure that we win. So let's find the best setups, premium setups only. Best thing I learned about trading is patience. Patience pays. So I tell people I get paid to wait. A lot of people don't realize that, but it's all about patience, risk management, discipline, and the biggest thing is your emotions. I've had some really big winner days, and I've had some pretty big losing days. The biggest thing is it doesn't matter if it's a big winner or a big loser, because you're going to get it back on the next days.
How do you do that? How do you regulate your emotions, even on the upside, right? When you have a really big winning trade, are you not like fist pumping yourself, or like how do you stay? I always say I'd rather be an 8 every day than a 10 some days and a 4 some days.
I love that analogy. Yeah, I always tell myself or my students, don't get too high on your highs and don't get too low on your lows, because you're gonna have amazing days and you're gonna have some bad days. So if you understand it's just another day, let's just get through the day.
Yeah, I love the reframe. That's the other thing too. There's this one book I love called Reframe Your Brain by Scott Adams, and he talks about reframing things, and you've done it I don't think you even realize you do it all the time. You reframe things all the time. Like 50%, that's actually great. The normal frame on that's, oh my God, you're a total loser. Being able to reframing the fact that patience, I'm getting paid to wait. Who doesn't want to get paid while they're waiting?
Exactly.
Those reframes are so useful, I think. I think people underestimate how much sort of self-hypnosis they can do, and being careful about the language they use.
Of course,
when they talk about them. Some people say, oh, I'm not a morning person. No, you're not behaving like a morning person. Being a morning person is a choice.
Correct. Yeah, everything's a choice, right? When you wake up, what do you have for breakfast is a choice. I choose to have a good breakfast to start my day off right, because that makes an easier choice for lunch, which makes an easier choice for dinner. Same thing with mindset. I choose to have a good mindset. Things happen that are great in the morning. Things happen that are bad. I wake up to text message. I'm like, oh man, but it's just another day. So I go outside, I meditate for 5-10 minutes. I look at the sun, I get my vitamin D, I drink my tea. It's about routine. I think that's another thing too, is traders don't have a lot of real traders have a routine. People that are just trying to get in don't have a routine. So they're just trying to get in and out and figure out what works. Having that mentorship and having a TopTier Academy where it's guided for them, it's going to make so much easier the progression and the journey for a lot of traders, so they don't have to do those dark spots.
Well, so do you know who David Goggins is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So like when I describe you to people, I'm like, oh, he's like the David Goggins of trading.
Oh, I love
it.
Yeah.
But let me ask about discipline, because I remember you telling me a story. We worked at a car dealership.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And basically, whoever showed up first gets the first person who comes in. Yep, right. The first opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. And that people were showing up at 9, so you'd show up at 8:30, then they'd show up at 8, then you'd show up at like 7. You're like, hey, I got no wife, I got no kids. Yep. No one's going to show up earlier than me. I will sleep here.
100%.
Well, so not everyone's going to be the David Goggins, right? What's the level of discipline necessary to be a successful trader? Do you got to be that over the top, or could someone with just a healthy level of discipline or a normal level of discipline be able to be successful?
I love it. I love that question. So my goals and my why is big, right? And some others aren't. Some people just want to make $1,000 extra a month. So the level of discipline you need isn't as stringent as mine. But as long as you put an hour, 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning, hour at night, 30 minutes in the morning, whatever you can. But I always tell people, when you do that, be intentful. Just don't throw 2 hours at something and say, oh, I did 2 hours. Well, were you intentful for those 2 hours? Did you have your phone off? Were you planning? So have a roadmap, having a plan of attack.
Yeah, it's funny. I was a wrestler in college, and the rule of thumb was you had to do a move 1,000 times perfectly. Like you had literally your format to be perfect for you to have sort of program your muscle memory, and then you could just do that move.
Yeah, I was actually a wrestler in high school.
Right.
Yeah. So we have a lot in common, actually.
Yeah. And it was just interesting how, because oh my God, drilling moves is so boring. Yeah. But it's just like, you just need to understand that when I do this really boring thing a couple of thousand times, I'm not going to get my butt kicked when I get on the mat.
Exactly. Same thing with Kobe Bryant, right?
Right.
He went on the court before and after and just nonstop trained. And I think that's what it takes, is repetition and practice with everything, especially in day trading or trading in general. That's why we have journals, and that's why we practice and do reps and reps and reps and reps and back test. Back testing is really, really boring, but it's also really, really important. And that's what people don't understand. They're like, man, why am I back testing? This is old data. Yeah, but it's the same thing. The market repeats itself every day. So if you can figure out what time it repeats itself, when, and figure out what pair you're good at, oh, it's a game changer.
Well, so as we wrap up this conversation, I wanted to talk a little bit about our Gran Turismo concept and kind of your role in that. I think you said you just watched the movie the other day.
Yeah,
right?
I watched it last night.
Yeah. So, when you and I met at the Formula One event, I was like, man, we got to have this guy teach our Gran Turismo event. And just for folks that don't know what that is, what we're basically going to do is we're going to have, probably going to do a whole bunch of them, but the two initial groups I think we're going to take a group of people that can't even spell PIP, and we're going to take them through TopTier Academy with Shaun, with you as their instructor. And then we're going to take another group, I think, maybe take a group of people that have bought challenge accounts before but never gotten to a payout.
Perfect.
And so I'm just curious, your prediction, your two Gran Turismos, people that have never traded before, people that have traded but never got to a payout, what percentage of them in a week do you think you can get to a payout?
Well, that's a great question. And I like the challenge for a week, right? That's the best part. And I like the brand new students that don't know how to spell PIP. because there's no bad habits to take away. I love that. And so I can teach them strategy and get them there quicker. Where the ones that haven't got a payout, if they're okay just listening and unlearning what they've learned before, I can get them to a payout too. So either way, they're getting a payout. So as long as they come through Gran Turismo TopTier Academy, they're going to get a payout.
Wow. Well, I'm so excited for this. Honestly, for me, it's like it's all well and good to have the person who, maybe has a little bit more formal education, a little bit more financial or statistics background, and that person be successful. To me, what's exciting is you can take the Uber driver, the stay-at-home mom, the ex-oil field worker,
Exactly.
like literally anyone. It's funny, my dad wants to do it, the Gran Turismo thing. Yep. He's 82.
I can teach him.
Yeah, he's a smart guy, but it's like I just think it'll be so cool to have all these different ages, shapes, and sizes of people, and to demonstrate, hey, no, like this really is. And to your point earlier, you could do it, given all the different markets, almost any time of day, day of week, anywhere in the world.
Yep.
It's kind of amazing.
It really is. Yeah, I was getting driven here this morning. I was stuck in traffic on the way here, and I was able to put a trade in, make some money. And it was an easy trade. Took me about a minute. Once you know the strategy and know when the market moves, what else are you, and that's what we're going to teach at TopTier Academy.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm so excited for Gran Turismo Top Tier Edition. But Shaun, thanks so much for making time.
No, thank you.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.